Hi there, I'm Dr. Geoanna Bautista, and I am a neonatologist at UC Davis. This means I take care of babies who are either born too early or too soon or critically ill. So while most people celebrate birth as a joyful milestone, I work closely with families during their most terrifying moments, when their newly born babies are fighting to survive. But beyond my clinical role as a doctor treating babies, I am also a scientist, searching for answers to the questions I face caring for these babies. This dual role as a physician scientist provides me with this unique insight and the ability to connect what I do at the bench to the bedside and backwards, allowing me to see a more truly clear path towards potential interventions and treatments, especially in infants with devastating intestinal or gut diseases. My research focuses on understanding how a baby's intestines develop and function, particularly the intricate dance of the muscles and nerves that must coordinate perfectly for proper digestion. This movement, called gut motility, is what pushes the milk through the digestive system and allows babies to absorb the nutrients and eliminate waste. So when babies are born full term, this system is nearly ready to go. But for premature infants or others or those with congenital anomalies like gastroschisis, where intestines develop outside the body, this essential movement is not fully developed. These immature intestines haven't quite learned the right dance steps yet. But what makes my approach truly unique is that I apply a mechanobiology aspect to it, essentially how physical forces shape biological development. So think about every time a baby moves in the womb or a wave of contractions pass through the developing gut, those mechanical forces are teaching the intestines how to function properly. Federal funding has been my lifeline as an early career investigator without a PhD background. The NIH T32 grant supported my research training during my clinical fellowship, while the KL2 award and subsequent KO8 award now provides protected time for my work. Programs like Cohort and the Mouse Biology program have given me access to cutting-edge tools that I simply couldn't afford otherwise. These investments don't just fund experiments, they build scientific careers from the ground up. Though early in my career, our work is already reshaping how we think about neonatal intestinal health. We've discovered fascinating connections between mechanical forces and gut development that could revolutionize how we prevent devastating conditions like necrotizing enterocolitis, or NEC, a disease where portions of the intestines die. Understanding these processes is key to unlocking new potential therapeutic strategies, because when we know precisely how mechanical forces shape gut development, we can then create better feeding strategies for babies with immature gut function, develop new diagnostic tools to identify problems earlier, and design targeted interventions that help the digestive system mature properly. My research is aimed at uncovering why particular infants are at increased risk for developing NEC, so we can better understand how to prevent them. Because each case prevented means a child is spared from lifelong medical complications and a family freed from emotional and financial hardship. So by uncovering how movements and mechanical forces guide intestinal development, we're paving the way for breakthroughs that could transform scientific discoveries into healthier futures for our most vulnerable patients. Federal research funding cuts would silence scientific breakthroughs right as they begin to speak. For physician scientists like me, studying rare but devastating newborn conditions, these cuts represent an existential threat. Without NIH Career Development Awards, I would be forced to abandon my research and focus solely on clinical care. My lab team would disband, specialized equipment would sit idle, and the momentum from years of preliminary work would evaporate overnight. And most critically, the questions that drove me into the bench or research, questions that stem directly from the struggling babies in my care, would remain unanswered. And perhaps most heartbreaking is the potential loss of an entire generation of physician scientists. With hundreds of grants already terminated, promising researchers see this career path becoming increasingly unstable. The resulting leadership gap would take decades to rebuild, decades during which critical medical advances simply won't happen. And so when I return to the NICU, after a full day of research, and look at each tiny face in those incubators, I remember why this work matters. because understanding the basic science today means saving babies' lives tomorrow. And without continued federal support, these life-saving discoveries may never reach the babies who need them the most.